All right. L'chaim v'libracha, to life and blessings. L'chaim. All right. Please learn in the Vida. Here. All right, folks. We continue our mimer, our Hasidic discourse, the Rebbe, and we are comparing the sending of the spies that Moses sent and that Joshua sent. Moses wasn't commanded, and by God, that is, and their duty was to spy out the entire land of Israel. Joshua, Yeshua, on the other hand, was commanded by God to spy out Jericho specifically. So as we explained that the Torah is eternal, so the Torah is teaching us. And what is the Torah? The Torah is teaching us an eternal message that the land of Israel is like the person. And what is the person? The person is made up of seven emotions, just like the land of Israel is made up of seven nations. And the seven emotions we're not commanded to conquer. Why? Because that's not something that everybody can do. We can't uh, sorry, let's take that back. We're not commanded to spy out the land because to deal with our emotions, we're not commanded to do that. Yet we're commanded to conquer the land of Israel, which means conquering our emotions. So how do you do that? That seems to be a contradiction. So now we understand. In other words, um, the message of Torah is eternal. What's the eternal message of me having to conquer the land of Israel? It was already conquered by Joshua and thereafter. So what's the message for me to conquer the land of Israel today? Again, we have Israel in us, meaning the seven emotions, because there were seven nations in Israel. And those seven nations, meaning those seven emotions, I have to conquer. But we just got finished saying Moses was not commanded to spy out the land. And the reason why he wasn't commanded is because the seven emotions, again, the spiritual relevance to that is that the seven emotions are not um, uh, are not something that you can transform. So there's no command to spy out the land. If you want, God tells Moses, you could, but you're not. So we're not commanded to spy out the land, but yet we're commanded to conquer. Because before our soul comes into this world, as we learn in chapter 1 of Tanya, the soul is at the beginning of Tanya, that we're given an oath before we come into this world that we should be righteous and not wicked. So what does it mean we're given an oath? We're given an empowerment that we could, that we could be righteous. Uh, our soul is commanded, so to speak, or empowered to be righteous. But in the end, we're saying that to be righteous means to have completely self mastery over your emotions, meaning that you would have no negativity inside of you, like the righteous have no negativity inside them. Well, we just finished saying that we're not commanded in that. We don't have self-control in that area. Well, right. So then why are we given the oath? Because we should at least apply the oath in our lives, meaning think about in your life ways that you could be like the righteous, meaning hating something that's not connected to God. So think about, uh, you know, the righteous only desire and only want and only love something that aligns them with the divine, with their purpose. If it's outside of their purpose, they actually hate it for themselves. They despise it because it's not aligned with the divine. So there's no purpose, there's no need in it, there's no, all right, it just doesn't belong. And if it doesn't belong to my purpose, I despise it. Even a simple little thing is, seeking pleasure for pleasure's sake. Well, that doesn't align with our purpose. Seeking pleasure, seeking to align yourself with the divine, and in that having pleasure, oh, that's different. That that's that's divine, right? Like right now, this morning, gotta tell you, yesterday, um, I traveled really early, like quarter to four. I remember to travel here, and I this morning, ah, thought to myself, okay, I got to sleep in. And I went to sleep relatively at a good time, so I got a decent night's sleep. But yeah, the body is sometimes, uh, you know, excuse me, my seasonal allergies. So then I was just having the pleasure of lying in bed. And I thought to myself, no, 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 no. That's not aligning with my purpose. So I quickly said, Modani, got out of bed. I watched Neckelwasser and got ready to give a class, which giving this class, I must say, aligns with my purpose very much so. And I do it with great pleasure. So, you know, um, it's not that there shouldn't be any pleasure what we do. The question is, how does that align with my purpose? And I should think about that and come to fulfill the oath that I was given, my soul was given before it came into this world, that I will not have any pleasure with anything that's not aligned with my purpose. Not because I'm seeking the pleasure, I'm seeking to fulfill what my purpose is every moment. That's a struggle. That's like working on yourself. Now, for the righteous, it's not a struggle. They got there. They struggled to get there. They did struggle to get there, but now they're there. They're not struggling with it. That's why they're called righteous, because they have no emotional baggage that lures them into being disaligned with their purpose. But I do, because, when I see food and it looks really good, so I want the pleasure of the food as an end in itself, not the not the not the pleasure of being aligned with my purpose, the pleasure of the food itself. Oh, that's not being aligned with my purpose. But I'm going to fall prey to that. We're all going to fall prey to that. Why? Because we're not righteous. And we're not a Beinoni either. Because if the Beinoni wouldn't even act that way, feel that way, but won't act that way. So what we need to do is that time to time think about um, those urges that we have and to not and to think about how that doesn't align with my purpose and therefore actually like not not like that. Even yeah, why? I hate that notion. And then we'll the fulfill the oath that we were given, even though we didn't transform ourselves. So that's helping to conquer a bit of our internal emotional makeup, just like as the Jewish people were commanded to conquer the seven nations, which are the seven negative emotions that we have inside of us. Conquer it. It's powerful. I just want to add something that you've probably heard from me before, but just to bring this idea across. There was a very wise father, wanted to teach his young son a lesson in life. And they were autumn, cool day by the river, yeah, getting closer to the winter. And he tells his son, go into the mikveh, into the water. Says, "Ooh, it's cold. It's okay." He goes in, yeah, mikveh, and he goes, ooh. And he comes out. His father gives a big, warm uh, uh, towel. He wraps himself with it. And he goes, ah. His father afterwards, he tells him, son, there's only two emotions in life. Ah and ah. The order in which they come will be a sign of whether you're going to have a good life, successful life, and be aligned with the divine, with your purpose. If you seek the life, in the end, it's going to become bitter and be because you're just going to seek pleasure as an end in itself, which is not being aligned with your purpose. And then in the end, it's going to be bitter. But if you seek the in life, in other words, do what you got to do, align yourself with the divine, which means you got to overcome your personal desire, whether your personal desire is to sleep in when you know you have a class, when your personal desire is um, whether your personal desire is to have the pleasure of the food as an end in itself, or rather thinking about it, meditating upon it, that no, the food is the divine spark that's within it. That's really what the food is. The food of its own. It's really something that's going to become moldy and disgusting. So food on its own is just becomes moldy, disgusting. So if I have the pleasure first, then in the end it's going to be disgusting. You think about that. But if I do it to align myself, so then there's a go, then I'm connecting to the spark, the divine spark in there. And therefore, in the end, it's going to be good and healthy. I don't mean just the food is healthy because the engagement is a healthy engagement. So therefore, it will be, uplifting, elevating because you're connecting to the divine source through this. That's amazing, right? So that's the kind of like the contradiction over here. On the one hand, we're told you're not commanded to spy out your emotions. On the other hand, we're commanded to conquer the land of the seven emotions, seven nations, referring to the seven negative emotions. So we're not commanded to spy out the land because in the end, that's not something we have the capability of transforming ourselves. But on the other hand, when we do deal with it, right? When we have to deal with our emotions, even though we're not going to transform it like the righteous. We have to recognize we have triggers, we have negativity, and think about it. Think about when we, you know, to put it into, modern day terms, if you will. Think about that trigger, that emotional trigger that you have, and play it out. What kind of where it leads you? How do you feel lousy about yourself when you allow that emotional trigger to control you, right? And you get upset. You know, your good friend did something, your family member did something to you and triggered you. And where that led you, what kind of person you became. Think about it and say, oh, that's disgusting. I don't want to be that kind of person. When you meditate upon that, when you meditate upon that, right, that helps to conquer the negativity within you that you shouldn't be. Hmm. L'chaim. Wow. Is that beautiful? Is that amazing?
L'chaim. L'chaim.
L'chaim, l'chaim. Any questions on that, folks? Hmm. Clear?
C'est quoi les sept
Yes.
émotions?
Huh?
Oh, sorry. What are the seven negative emotions?
Well, they're the same as the positive, but they express themselves in different. Kindness is can be a self-serving emotion that you're kind, um, to feel good, to look good, right? You're kind to gain some benefit through your kindness. That's a
Mm.
negative emotion, right? Or like, you give charity, and have your name in bright lights that makes you look like you're, special person in the community. Um, so that's coming from the animal soul. It's not coming from the godly soul.
Mm.
Now, if you did that to have your name in bright lights, and you don't want to do that, but the rabbi said to you, no, your name has to be in bright lights because people need to be inspired by your giving, and you do it because for the cause. not because you're looking to look good, but this way it inspires others. That's coming from a positive place, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
if it's coming because, you know, and then you say, well, my name's not big enough over there. I need bigger letters of my name to be up there. That's not coming from a godly place. It's coming from, negative emotion of the ego. Then there's gevura, which is restraint, power, um, holding back. So, control of people. You want to have control. That's from gevura. So you know, yeah, I'm not gonna, that person didn't treat me, triggered me, didn't treat me properly. So, I have the power to withhold something from them right now. And, right, you're doing it because you were triggered, right? Then there's even compassion. Compassion is the third emotion. So, oh, you feel compassion for a drug addict and you give them money.
Mm.
That's not a good emotion. That's a unhealthy um, compassion. Um, then there's endurance, triumph, to overcome challenges and yet be giving, yet, you know, extend yourself. Um, that can also be coming from a negative place, of feeling like, uh, like, um, like, yesterday someone asked me to borrow something. I asked someone to borrow something and they said no. Today they come to ask me to borrow something from me. So I'm not like you. And you feel it. Okay, I'll give you. But you know what? I'm not really like you because look, I overcame my feelings. You didn't overcome your feelings. I'm not like you. So that would be, then there's Hod, which is acknowledgement and humility. So humility in a negative way is like, you know, I know that I'm really greater than you, but Torah says I gotta be humble. So I'm acting humble, but in my heart, I'm really feeling greater than you, right? Then there's connectivity. Yesod is connectivity. Um, so you connect to another person, not for the divine connection or for the divine value in the connection, but for the as a means to some other end. And finally, Malchus, the seventh, is royalty, kingship, that which means in us thought and speech and action. So our thought, speech, and action are self-serving, right? Those are the emotionals, and then it's expressed in our thought, speech, and action, which becomes just expressing that in a self-serving manner. So those are the seven emotions that are the same in the godly soul, same in name, but in the divine soul, it's in order to just be aligned with what God needs and wants from me. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, folks. Chumash and Rashi, just because it's going to take me longer, everything, because I'm not in synagogue right now. So, God willing, I don't know um, what time exactly. David, I'll post to you when I have a better idea. Just as usually I'd be going right now to pray and then, but now, whatever. There's still things I gotta do before I get there. So I'll keep you posted. But Tanya for sure will have it at 9:30, and hopefully we'll be able to have some part of Chumash. Okay. All right. See you shortly. Thank you, folks.